So there's a line from Kurt Cobain it's always stuck with me, and you've probably seen it. It's probably been plastered. It's been plastered on Instagram graphics for sure and whatnot. It's all over the internet in various forms, but it's something that he said in an interview that you know, almost like he was thinking out loud. He said, "I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not." I mean, I would say, I mean, that's not just a clever turn of phrase. That's a survival instinct. That's the only way someone like him or someone like me could exist without choking to death on their own words. Because I mean, here's the truth. I mean, I lived my life in rooms where telling the truth was a liability. I've personally sat across from people, whether that's family or some bogus institution, people in power really, who wanted me to make myself smaller and quieter and easier to digest. And the minute I didn't play their game and I refused to do that, the minute I told them, the unvarnished truth, in their minds, I was instantly marked as the problem and treated as such. And I think that's why Cobain's music never really felt just like music to me. I mean, it felt like someone else in the foxhole with me that was yelling over the noise, saying like, "Hey, man, I see you too." I think if I had met him in another life, we would have been friends, best friends. 'Cause he grew up feeling like an outsider in his family in his hometown of Aberdeen, Washington, and so, but that was in the beginning. He was a very happy kid, and then his parents got divorced. Then he really turned inward, got really depressed, off kilter, and then his dad remarried, and then that's when he felt like an outsider. Whenever he lived with his father and his new, this new family, and I mean, of course, this isn't a documentary on Kurt Cobain, but you know, but yeah, I mean, I get that. I grew up in an environment, a milieu that could, that could put on a polished face for the outside world, but behind closed doors, it was a completely different story. There was always constant tension and conflict, and a physicality to it that left a mark, and I mean, not just on my body, but on the way that I learned to read people. And you learn early in those environments how to listen for the truth behind the tone in people's voices, how to see the real meaning under the words. I would say that's a survival skill that I developed, but it also separates you. It separates you from people who've never had to develop it at all. They don't hear what you hear, and they don't feel what you feel. I mean, it's why even as a kid, I never fully bought into the version of life that adults were selling me. Same as Cobain. I mean, you see too much too soon, and once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. It's just the way it goes. But yeah, I mean, here's where it gets personal and where I start to see the direct line between my life and his life. Kurt's music was the way I see it, a rejection of the plastic, the scripted culture of the late 80s. It wasn't just about the music scene, it was about the sales pitch behind it. The way, corporations and media built this false world and then told you that you weren't enough unless you fit inside of it. And, I lived through my own version of that. Only the script that I was handed came through movies and TV about, love or relationships and what it meant to be a man or masculine. I was sold, many millennials will attest to this, we were sold a romance novel version of reality. Danielle Steele, Fabio on the cover. I mean, it was completely antithetical to how men are actually supposed to carry themselves and how women actually respond to them. And that conditioning let me straight into the wrong relationships and the wrong patterns, just like it did for millions of men out there. And Kurt's fight was on stage. or Kurt's fight with it was on stage with the media or with the music industry. And mine's been in the real world, and in courtrooms and in conversations with my son's mother, in navigating a system that will smile to your face and but behind closed doors erase you from your son, from his life. And so, but yeah, I mean, Kurt Cobain, if you want to go into systems in the cage, Kurt Cobain wasn't just fighting his personal demons, he was fighting a system. He was nonchalant and very serious at the same time. So I mean, he was fighting a system, a machine that wanted him to produce a product and play the part and shut up about everything else. I mean, that to me feels very familiar. I've gone through years of family court where the unspoken rule was that we'll tolerate you as long as you play your role. But the minute that you try to speak up, the minute you ask for fairness, suddenly, you're difficult now. And once they brand you that way, every move that you make is filtered through that lens. And Kurt tried to subvert the machine from the inside, but the machine doesn't compromise. And when you refuse to compromise with it, it finds ways to grind you down. I've felt that grind for sure. I mean, not through fame or tour schedules or anything like that, but through bureaucracy and bias and the kind of slow erosion that comes from having to constantly prove you belong in your own child's life. And Kurt Cobain, he turned his alienation into art. That's the thing. He didn't just feel alienated, he used it. He carved it into sound. And I've done the same in a different way. My outlet isn't a guitar. I cannot play guitar at all to save my life. I used to play drums and trumpet, ukulele even. It's a lot easier, but not guitar. But so my outlet is this. It's talking to you. It's making content that cuts through the noise. Saying the things that most people are afraid to say out loud in front of, thousands and millions of people online. And not in a hot take clickbait way. It's in a way that's rooted in lived experience and logic and philosophy. And when you live most of your life feeling like you're speaking a different language than the people around you, finding even a small group of people who get it is like oxygen. That's what it's like to me. That's what my audience is to me. And I think that's why people connected with Cobain. Because he wasn't posturing. He was bleeding out loud. But then I like I said earlier, he also, in a lot of interviews, people will try to, get deep with him. And he's like, they would ask about, what does your song mean? He's like, dude, my songs aren't like, people will think they're thematic, but it's just, I just was lazy. And I just, it's stuff that I thought of randomly or whatever, That's what I liked about him, is just, he had a good balance of that. But anyway, here's where people get it wrong about both of us. So they think that the goal is to fix the alienation, to somehow become the thing you never fit into. Kurt knew better. He knew that he knew you can't unsee the truth. You can't unknow what's wrong with the picture. And trying to fit yourself into it will only break you faster. And I've stopped chasing the happy ending that was sold to me. The one where everyone plays nice and the system works and the truth wins just because it's the truth. That's not how it works. If anything, I've learned that the people who last are the ones who adapt without losing their center. That's why I resonate with them. I have since I was a boy, because the real story isn't about fixing it. It's about surviving it without letting it turn you into something you're not. And the reason why I don't self-destruct, so Kurt didn't make it. And that's the hard part about resonating with someone like him. You feel the similarities, but you also see the edge of the cliff he went over. And, I'm not going to go into how he died. I think we all know, but, you know, you can look that up on your own time. But I'm not going to talk about that here. But I've had my own moments, staring at the edge, moments where the system felt like it had me. It stripped me of everything. It was choking me. But here's the difference. So I've gotten something that keeps me anchored, and it's my son. The time that I do have with him. The fact that every day I'm still here, still speaking and still fighting is one more day the system doesn't win. And yeah, Cobain's legacy is complicated. But one thing that it taught me is this: the truth is worth telling, even if it costs you. My job is to make sure it doesn't cost me everything. So yeah, I resonate with Kurt Cobain, not because I think I'm a rock star, not because I want to wear, a cardigan, smash guitars, but because we both, although that would be fun, I guess. I used to wear a lot of cardigans back when I was very hipster, but it's neither here nor there. But because we both lived in a world that wanted us to shut up and smile while it chipped away at us. Shoot, I remember being 16, trying to buy a shirt, waiting in line in Hot Topic, and one of the associates passed by me and was like, "Oh, you should smile more," or like, "Why aren't you smiling?" I got that a lot growing up because I just had, RBF, I guess, But I just smiling wasn't my default. I was always in my head anyways, and the things that were going on in my head were not happy. So, but yeah, or I was just, zoned out. I wasn't one of those people that had a smile just stamped on my face all the time. Those people actually gave me anxiety. People that are constantly happy. Dude. Anyways, but, Kurt Cobain refused, and then I refuse. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's that the cost of telling the truth is high, but the cost of living a lie is even higher. And if there's anyone out there that's thinking about, starting a YouTube channel and doing the exact same thing that I'm doing and a bunch of other people are doing. I'm on the very low end of the totem pole here. I have 4,000 subscribers. So then there are people with tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of subscribers. So I'm very, very much in the beginning stages. I will continue to do this because I really enjoy it, despite, the haters and the people that will come into the comment section and, say things to try to rattle my cage, I guess. I don't know. I just assume they're either bots or they're just people that are projecting. But most of you, I'd say a good 95% is people that are telling me their story, and they're being, they're letting their guard down a bit. They're being vulnerable. And I really appreciate that. I like connecting with people. The caveat is that, of course, there's a lot of you, so I can't get to everyone and respond to everyone. But, it's something that I think is important is to, because yeah, I mean, like the moment I die, I'm going to be forgotten about pretty quickly. Everybody is. So it's, it's kind of a cliche thing to talk about, but I mean, we're on this planet for a finite amount of time. And what's held me back in the past is, I mean, because I've been wanting to do YouTube since 2018. I'm glad I didn't actually. Honestly, I had a channel called The Melancholic Catholic because I was melancholic, and I was Catholic at the time. And so, I mean, if you've been following me for a while, you can it's kind of laughable because now I'm not Catholic anymore. And, I do deconstruct Christianity and speak about that. So I think not that it was fate or meant to be, but just I don't know, just it all of a sudden made sense at this point, and now it's something that I enjoy so much. Before it felt more like an obligation because plus back then I was dealing with a lot more stuff with the courts and with my ex, and life was more stressful, and it was harder for me to just stay focused on doing stuff like this. And I just want other people to realize that, I mean, wherever you're at, whether it's good or bad, I mean, there is a reason behind it, because it sucks in the moment, but once you get past it in hindsight, you understand why you went through it, and a lot of times you're glad you did. And that's how I feel about, the past that I have. I would never take it back. I mean, yeah, I do have my regrets, but I've moved past that. I've grown from that, and it's made me who I am today. And I just want to be able to provide a legacy and, I guess, a time capsule for my son. That's what's really important to me. At the end of the day, I want to die just knowing that my son loved me, and that that he knows that I loved him, and that he loves me, and that I was a good dad. At the end of the day, the only thing that I care about is just being remembered as being a good dad. That's the ultimate for me. I remember telling one of my friends when I lived in Portland, we were sitting on the bluffs smoking Camel Lights or American Spirits. I think she was smoking an American Spirit and I was smoking a Camel Light. This was long before my son, so I think it was when I was dating his mom, but it was before she got pregnant. So I just remember telling my friend that, because we were, that's the thing, is we were talking about our kind of our I guess our childhood traumas, and just not bashing our fathers, but talking about how they negatively affected us. And I told her that, when I become a dad, I don't want my son or daughter, who, I mean, obviously I was hoping that I would have a son, but yeah, I said, I don't want my kid doing this, sitting on a bluff with their best friend, talking about how much I sucked and how bad I was and how I ruined them or whatever. I wanted them to know how much I loved them and would do everything possible to not just not be my father, but to allow them to be fully themselves, because I believe that's the parent's role. Of course, you have to protect your children and discipline them and guide them in the way that they should go. But you also need to not project your traumas and your demons onto them. And that's what happened to me. And I didn't want that to happen to my child whenever I had one. And so I think that's what's really the cause of a lot of issues. I mean, there's other causes, of course, that I've talked about, but at a root level, it's just how you were treated by your parents really defines who you become as an adult. in your, first 8 years of your life. Those are pivotal years. So, but yeah, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but that's just something I wanted to leave you with. And yeah, so I would say go listen to some Nirvana. I'm going to. I feel like listening to some Nirvana. Maybe watch a Kurt Cobain documentary. But he's always fascinated me, and I've listened to him since the '90s. And I had a lot of Nirvana shirts, and that the first song I learned on drums was "Smells Like Teen Spirit." So, yeah, yeah, just be yourself, honestly, and yeah, just be who you are. And of course, you're gonna have your flaws, and you need to grow as a human being. But yeah, just keep that quote in mind. I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. So it's in the same vein as I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees.